Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Devanam Priya Brashtavyaha, the man gone astray in God's beloved. I was on the point of how a person much interested in conduct of yagnas, havans, but not at all keen on obtaining jnana is like an animal about whom the devatas are very fond of. They will look after him the way we take care of a useful animal like the milch cow. Though the devatas are superior to human beings, their capacity for happiness is rather limited. They have not attained to and will never attain to even a small fraction of the quality and magnitude of happiness that a human being will experience on becoming an Atma Jnani. Taittiriya Upanishad 11.8 and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.3.33 compare the happiness level of the world of human beings, the world of Pitrus or ancestors, residents of Devaloka, and within Devas, Indras, Brahaspatis, Prajapatis, each successively 100 times more than the previous, finally ends in the Brahmanandam of the Jnani as the highest. So, Devas are not without their complaints, crips and deficiencies. They are not working towards obtaining Jnanam either. They await the advantages to be received from the human beings by way of oblations in yagnas. So, it stands to reason that they are not interested in human beings becoming Jnanis. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says so in these words: human beings getting to know Atma is not liked by the Devatas, because once the human being reaches that level, he will not be doing karmas, including yajnas that satisfy the Devatas. Say, we are employing a household helper at a fairly low wage. If we get a new helper, he would demand more. Or man wants to appear for higher studies and pass exams and become eligible for better jobs and better life. Tell me if we will be interested in his educational success or look for greater comfort at home at a cost. We will only want that he should not get through successfully in his endeavor. If he passes the exam, he will be in a different level of remuneration and prestige. He will look for some better job. If we look for some other person, we will not be able to get anybody at the rate he was working. Some analogy applies here. Devas do not like to see us giving up our devotional activities. They do not like our becoming jnanis. When we do not do that, we are their beloved. If a jnani is not Devata's beloved, Ajnani is Devata's beloved. So, the ignorant is the pet of the gods. That is what is meant by Devanam Priyaha. A new accolade for an idiot that is in Vyakaranam, grammar in Sanskrit. There is a source for this word in the Upanishads. Shankara Bhagavad Padal in Brahma Sutra Bhashyam 1.2.8, when someone claims that if Jivatma and Paramatma are one, then the problems and pleasures of Jivatma can happen to Paramatma too. In answering him to say, how foolish can you be? He says, Idam tvad devanam priya bratavyah. Devanam priya sounds like a big title, but when you look at the real meaning, it is as good as being called an idiot. In stone carvings about Emperor Ashoka, we find that his name is referred as Devanam Priyaha. Much before the time of Ashoka, Panini has written in his book of Vyakaranam that Devanam Priya is an idiot or murkha. It would be wrong to think that any insult was meant. Ashoka embraced non-Vedic Buddhism. In Buddhism, no one is supposed to do any yagyam or any yaga karyam. So, none of them can ever hope to become the beloved of the gods. However, as Emperor Ashoka was quite kindly and accommodative of the Hindus who did Vedakaryam of all sorts of yajnas, he could have been called Devanam Priyaha. Maybe the man supervising the inscription meant it to be an indirect innuendo. Anyhow, there was no chance of Ashoka becoming a Jnani, and in that sense, becoming Devanam Priya was on the cards. Maybe it was only a mistake by some ill informed official who thought Devanam Priya is likable phrase. As a Devata's beloved, someone regularly doing yajnas, if and when is about to become a jnani, it is not much liked by the Devatas as their supply is about to be affected adversely. So we have to so we have heard of how the Devatas create problems in the final stages before attainment of Jnanihood by sending celestial damsels such as Ramba, Tilottama, and Menaka, etc., to disturb Vishwamitra's tapasya. For example, till the time before becoming a Jnani, that man was doing his bit for the conduct of yajnas, and Devatas were reciprocating by showering rains and helping humanity in so many ways. A sense of gratitude should always be there for the rains received, so you do yoga again. Probably the word again has come into being because the process of mutual thanking goes on again for a gain. That is why we do yajnas. Some Brahmin gives the Devatas Havir Bhagam as a representative of all, like one per family pays the taxes. So, till he attains to the level of a Jnani, man does karmas and remains a beloved of the gods. Like milking the cow, Devatas benefit from him. If the cow stops giving milk, what is the use of keeping that cow? So, till he behaves like a milch cow, Devatas will be happy with him. If and when he stops being a milch cow, they will trouble him. So, he is an animal twice over. One for being an idiot in not using his brains, and they give you rains. Second, when you stop being useful, they treat you as we treat as animal, which does not give milk anymore. So, when there is no milk, no more again. The more in Tamil means buttermilk. To know that the Devatas are non different from oneself is Jnanam. For this, Vedantam shows us the way. Let me give you proof as to how high that Vedantam was and is held in our country. From among countless number Vedas, rishis caught hold of only a limited number. Since even that cannot be done full justice to, with the limited capabilities of human beings in Kali Yuga, the Vedas were divided into 1180 branches, with each branch having Samhitai, Brahmanam, and Aranyakam, with the Upanishad kept at the end of Aranyakam. The requirement was that an individual should learn at least one of them, at the least one branch or shakai. In latter days, even this went out of practice. This present generation of ours seems to have the unique honor of annihilating the balance too. Let it be set aside. For the present, to continue with the discussion, in each branch there is an Upanishad. Thus, surviving ones now are some Upanishads with Samhitai, Brahmanam, and Aranyakam, SBA for short. Out of them, there are some Upanishads whose SBA are not being learnt through Adhyayanam anymore. For some of them, the text portion of the SBA is not available anymore, but the Upanishad portion is continuing or even flourishing. For example, in Rig Veda, there is a Sankayana Sakai, whose Samhita portion is not available. We have lost it. At the end of that branch of Veda is the Upanishad Kaushidaki, which is very much available. Similarly, there is the Bhashkala Mantropanishad. I heard that There is a copy of it in Adyar library, inscribed on palm leaf. We do not know anything about the Bhaskala branch of Rig Veda, neither the Samhitai nor Brahmanam portion. Kathopanishad similarly is from Krishna Yajur Vedam. Though the Kathopanishad is rather famous as one of the 10 important Upanishads, the Kata Sakai's Aranyakam is not available. Atharva Veda Adhyanam is barely alive and just barely breathing in one or two places in the whole of India, but out of the 10 important Upanishads, 3 are from Atharva Veda, namely Prashnam, Mundakam, and Mandukyam. That is, though we have let the main portion of the Vedas concerned with karma go by default, we have not let go of the portions concerned with the principles, concepts, and Siddhantam of Vedantam. We have managed to protect them. There were many Upanishads. 200 years back, there was a gentleman in Kanchipuram who is said to have written Bhashyam for 108 Upanishads. He came to be known as Upanishad Brahmendral. There is a matam in Kanchipuram on his name. Dasopanishad or the 10 Upanishads. Adi Shankara selected 10 of the Upanishads and wrote his commentary from the point of view of Advaitam. Later, there were Ramanujacharya and Madhvar who gave their commentaries to the same 10 Upanishads from their point of view of Visishtadvaitam and Dvaitam. To remember these 10 Upanishads, there is a shlokam making a string of the names of these Upanishads. Isha Kena Katha Prashna Munda Mandukya Tittiri Aidareyam Cha Sandokyam Brihadaranyam Dasha Brihadaranyakam Dasha. Adi Shankara has written this Bhashyam in the same order as in the Shlokam. In this, Isha is Ishavasyopanishad. It comes in the Shukla Yajurveda and starts with the words Ishavasyam and so is named accordingly. Kenopanishad similarly starts with the word Kena and derives the name from the first word. The very first sentence in Ishavasya Upanishad says, every bit of this whole world is under the control and suzerainty of Ishvara. So by giving up any claim on ownership, you can enjoy it all. Do not covet. As after all, whose is all this wealth? Evidently not yours till your oneness with him is realized. A child looks at a toy of an elephant and thinks it to be an elephant only. Grown-ups will know it to be wood, that though it looks like an elephant, for the child the wood is hidden and the animal is the only thing seen. For the grown-up, the animal is hidden and only the wood is seen. The whole world is a toy made of the wood of Paramatma. We should know it to be made of Paramatma while looking at the world. Tirumular says, Marattai Marattalu Mamada Yanai. That is, Marattai Maraittadu Mamada Yanai, Marattai Maraindadu Mamada Yanai, Marattai Maraitthadu Parmudal Bhudam, Parattil Maraindadu Parmudal Bhudam. Looking only at the 5 constituent variations of space, air, water, fire, and earth, we tend to forget the basic cause of all existence, the Paramatma. We should get over this forgetfulness and look at all seen subjects as an expression of the same Paramatma Swarupa, echoing the very words of Tirumular. Adi Shankara says, Tandini Taru Vikare, meaning a tree in disguise of an elephant. I am not getting into discussion of the endless loop of which one came first, the words of Tirumular or the words of Adi Shankara. For the great souls, only Paramatma Swarupam will be visible. Kena is Kenopanishad. It occurs in Samaveda in Jaimini Sakai, in Talavakara Brahmanam. So it has a name as Talavakara Upanishad also. There is a saying in Tamil to mean that if you have lost something, you should search for it in Kena Upanishad. Kena plus Upanishad is equal to Kena Upanishad. Looking at the Paramatma Rupa, the Devatas, due to their pride, could not locate or identify the head or tail of what they were looking at. Then Parashakti herself gave Jnana Upadesha to Indra. It is her Upadesha that is the content of the Upanishad. For this Upanishad, Adi Shankara has given two explanatory notes, which is a rare and unique honor and indicates how much he valued the message of this Upanishad. One of the Bhashyam is word by word and the other is sentence by sentence. In Saundarya Lahari, with this Upanishad in mind, Acharya says, O Mother, your golden feet, which has been kept on the head of Veda Mata, may please be rested on my head too. Similar to Vedantam, the Upanishads also have names such as Veda Shiras and Shruti Siras. Siras means head. In Tamil, it is Thalai or Mudi. So, Upanishads are not only the end of Vedas as Vedanta, but they are also the head of the Vedas. Ambal's feet on Vedamata's head means Upanishad only. It is in Kenopanishad that Ambal comes as Jnanambika. It is a Samaveda Upanishad exactly justifying the Lalita Sahasranama mantra Samagana Priya. When we look at anything, say the scene is the object, the seer is the subject. We can look at our own body, it is an object. This is my hand, my leg, my body. They are the objects. I am the subject. I am not my body or any part of my body. How to know this subject? If I can know it, then it also becomes an object. There has to be something, the subject. How to know this? I or me or myself without something, without objectifying it. As the subject, we can experience it as ourselves and not know it as something else. But to know it and analyze it, something other than it has to be there. The moment you do that, it is not us anymore, but that which is unknown. What can that be in us which can be different to ourselves? Other than Atma, what can be that which can know the Atma? Nothing. So, though we are using the words Atma Jnanam, Atma Anubhuti quite fluently, it is not a case of a subject knowing an object. In Kandar Anubhuti, Arunagirinadar says, தன்னந்தனி நின்றதுதான் அரிய இன்னம் ஒருவர்க்கு இசை விப்பதுவோ. Meaning, to stand as yourself, you may know, but can you inform that to anybody else? So, Kenopanishad says that somebody who claims that he knows does not know. Somebody who is in a state of not knowing knows. The one who thinks that he knows does not know, and the one who thinks that he knows not and knows. What a paradox! There is a Tamil saying for this too. Kandavar vindilar, vindavar kandilar. Meaning the seer did not speak and the speaker did not see. Other than the inner meaning, it also conveys that the eyes which saw did not speak and the mouth which spoke did not see. The life force in the background, call it with you want, is the what you want is the one which saw and spoke. Katopanishad. After Isha and Kena is Katopanishad. Coming is the Kata branch of the Krishna Yajur Veda. In it is the description of the Upadesham given by Yamadharmaraja to young Brahmachari Nachiketa. It starts like an interesting story but ends in high philosophy. Nachiketa's father was conducting a yagya in which he was donating many things to deserving Brahmins. Evidently, there were some items like an old cow which had finished its useful life, which was also being donated. The son Nachiketa first asked his father as to why he is donating something not likely to be useful to the recipient. As the father was rather preoccupied, he ignored the son's question. Then Nachiketa evidently pestered his father as to whom he is going to donate him to. The father rebuffed him, saying that he will donate him to Yama, the god of death. His father, being a man of such fidelity and piousness, his utterance cannot go waste. The result was that Nachiketa landed in Yamaloka unscheduled, and we got the Upanishad. Sri Krishna has used many of the sentences from this Upanishad verbatim in Bhagavad Gita. You may like to read about Nachiketa elsewhere, like in Wikipedia nowadays, as to how he pestered his father and then so intelligently and smartly he wangled the secrets from Yama about life, life after death, and such things. An interesting side light to the story is that in the Tamil language, this word Nachiketa sounds like the word for grilling the other with questions pesteringly Nachiketbadu. That matter of object subject that I talked about while discussing the material content of Kenopanishad is very clearly emphasized and reinforced in Katopanishad. You see, there are some plants like a type of grass in which the whole stem is made up of leaves as though inserted concentrically in the next outer leaf. The central soft portion, like a rod, can be simply pulled out. It will just slide out of the plant with such case and facility, with such ease and facility. Like that, the subject Atma should be pulled out of the object body and remain as Atma, says the mantra 4.17 in Katopanishad. Love, hate, lust, and fear are all affectations of the mind and not mine. Who am the Atma? Hunger, thirst, etc. are of this body and not mine. Who am the Atma? Thus, we should train ourselves to objectify all the non Atma things and learn to discard them repeatedly. As we go along, slowly our assumption that we are this body and mind will weaken and disappear completely. Then, like separating the earkuchi from the munjam grass, Atma can be pulled out of non Atma things. If a bundle of banana leaves lying nearby is drying up, are we affected? This human body should be thought of as package made up of flesh, nerves and bones, much closer than the bundle of banana leaves. As that bundle remains an object under our observation instead of the subjective self, our own body should also be seen as another object other than ourselves. As we continue to live in this world, still living in this body, we should thus train ourselves that this body is not me. Then, instead of going to some Vaikuntham or Kailasham for moksham, after our dropping this body, here and now can be the nirvana. Moksham means total carefree bliss of undiluted happiness. This self satisfied person is Sadanandan or ever happy. He is the Jivan Muktan or liberated while alive. The final aim or mission of all Vedas and Vedantam is to make man a Jivan Muktan. The same idea is said by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5:23. Shaknoti haiva yas sodum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krododbhavam vegam sa yuktah sukhi narah. The meaning of the shloka is as follows. Shaknoti is able, iha iva, here itself, sadam, to withstand, prak, before, sharira, vimokshanat, liberation from this body, Kama Krodha Udbhavam, born out of desire and anger. Sa Yukta, he is a yogi. Sa Sukhi Nara, he is a happy man. Ihaiva, that is Iha plus Iva. Here and now itself, while still in this world, if you recognize your identity with this Atma and disassociate yourself from ownership or being owned by this body, such a person cannot be adversely affected by death. Once this happens, body has no lordship over you and the mind has become your tool or instrument in your hands. Death does not affect you. So while living, he has become Amritam everlasting. This becoming Amritam, Ihaiva is what is specially mentioned by Purush Suktam and Dahara Vidya. Upanishads repeatedly emphasize this idea in various ways. The cause for all problems is the body and the mind. Let me straight away underline the point that they are also the cause to make this discussion possible. It is true that Devatas have no chance for Jnanam without being born as a human being. So, possibly, I will reframe my sentence that the cause for all our problems is that we are letting our body and mind lord it over us instead of they being tools in our hands. All the religions of the world have a concept of moksham to mean everlasting happiness devoid of sadness. Other than Advaitam, they all talk of some such achievement somewhere in Paralokam or heavens or Moksha Lokam or Kailasham or Vaikuntham. I am not overstating the truth. When I say that, as per Advaitam, by controlling and eradicating the wrong identification of ourselves with the body and mind and bringing our focus back on the real one, Atma, the true moksham can be Ihaiva, that is, here and now. Adi Shankara reinstates in his Bhashyam for Brahma Sutram 1.1.4 Tad itat asariratvam mokshayam. The word asaririti has come to mean sound heard from an unknown source. Actually, it only means body or formlessness. When the wrong identification of ourselves as this body goes, we make ourselves asariri. It is not suicide. Both death and suicide affects only the body. Even after the body is no more, the Mano Maya Sukshma Sharira or the subtle body of the mind can trouble us. When you keep reducing the desires to nullity and the body consciousness is dehydrated to vacuity, the inner Atma shines in effulgent glory. For this, you do not have to go anywhere else. That is what is trumpeted by the Vedanta as Ihaiva, 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 here and now. There are two enemies preventing us from this very state of Amritatva. Gita, the Smriti says that they are Kama and Krodha. The background authority for that statement is the Gita is the phrase Priyam Apriyam in Chandogya Upanishad 8.112.1. Likes and dislikes. Likes are kamam, dislikes lead to anger or krodham. Chandokyam says that these likes and dislikes do not touch the bodiless being. Love and hate are for the embodied soul only. So, the Upanishad says that if you want to get over likes and dislikes, while still alive, get rid of the wrong identification with the body. Make it clear to yourself that when you say I or me, that is not the physical body. You are you with or without the body. The one Jiva Atma, depending on the momentary attitude of his as me and mine, is classified as Gaunatma, Mithyatma, and Mukhyatma. Elders have given this in the form of a shlokam which has been quoted by Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padal in Brahma Sutra Bhashyam. गौन मिथ्यात्मनो असत्वे पुत्र देहाति पादनात् सद्ब्रह्मात् माहम इत्येवं पोदे कार्यम कदम भवेत्. Sutra Bhashyam 1.1.4. Everyone has this deep rooted thought that their children and relatives are themselves, that is, Gauna Atma or honorary Atma. Even when we know that they are not ourselves, the sense of we and us and ours will often arise in our minds. This is the cause for much narrow nepotism, clannishness, parochialism, and nationalism, as well as the motivating force for much of social service, humanism, internationalism, and love for all life forms. Closer home is the notion that we are our physical body. This is the Mithya Atma, the reason for all narrow selfishness, lust, passion, hate, fear, and competitive one upmanship. When you come to the core of the being and the oneness of Atma and Brahman becomes clear, then it is evidently Brahmatma or godliness. This is the point beyond space and time coalescing dignity, nobility, and grandeur of transcendence. All the wrong notions vanish. No more yet to be done responsibilities. That is the meaning of the shlokam quoted above, which erases all doubts about selfishness and selflessness. Arise, awake, quoted by Swami Vivekananda so effectively in Chicago, is a mantra of Kathopanishad. Many of the quotable quotes of the present day world in philosophy and even management subjects are from Kathopanishad. Let me quote some of them. Education and ambition alone cannot make you reach the Atma. For the Jiva riding the chariot, the body is the chariot, his brain is the Sarathi or chauffeur, faculties of the mind are the reins, the senses are the horses. Third, in the cave of the heart, God is in the form of a flame the size of a thumb. Fourth, the mantram that is chanted at the time of Deepa Aradhana, Na Tatra Suryo Bhati, meaning not the sun nor the moon or stars, nothing shines but everything shines because of his effulgence. So, these lights cannot enlighten him, the Paramatma. 5. All our limited knowledge and awareness are sourced from that, so this limited cannot explain the unlimited. 6. The famous comparison of all existence with the inverted tree of Ashwattham, with its roots in Brahman and its branches and leaves spread all over the world, described also in the first 3 verses of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. And the last, as and when you get rid of all the desires residing in your heart, you will become eternal and partake of the nectar of Parabrahmam. Next time you hear any of these ideas, let a bell ring that they are from Kathopanishad. After Kathopanishad are the 3 Upanishads of the Atharva Veda, Prashna, Mundaka, and Mandukya Upanishads. Prashna means question. How are we born in this world? Who are the protecting Devatas? How does life come into the body? What are the truths about the states of wakefulness, sleep, and dream? What is the use of Omkara Upasana? What is the relation between God and man, Paramatma and Jivatma? These are the 6 questions answered in this Upanishad. Mundakam is to shave off one's head. This Upanishad is meant for study by the mature individuals who have resigned themselves to a life of complete renunciation. Mundokopanishad talks of the Akshara Brahman. Aksharam means the endless infinite eternity. Aksharam also means sound letter, which is also forever. We talk of Panchatantra Shatchakra, and Ashtakchara. Panchakshara, Shadakshara, and Ashtakshara mantras. The root mantra for all this is the Pranavam, that is the Omkara. To reach the eternal Brahman, the Akshara Omkara is the special vehicle. In the bow of Omkara, the arrow of Atma should be loaded and with perfect aim, without any doubt or hesitation, shoot at the target of Brahman, says the Upanishad. There is the pipala tree in which two birds are seated. One is symbolic of Jivatma and the other Paramatma. One, the Jivatma, is eating the fruit. The other bird, the Paramatma, is just watching. This is a story from Mandokopanishad. This same story becomes the one about Adam and Eve with the forbidden apple. Apple tree is the Pipala tree. The government of India has adopted the motto Satyam Eva Jayate, meaning truth alone wins, from this Upanishad only. There is one mantra in this Upanishad which is about such persons who have been Jivan Muktas and after dropping the body become Videha Muktas, that is bodiless liberateds. When offering Purna Kumbham to sannyasis, the mantra that is chanted in their honor, starting with the words Na karmana na prajya dhanena tyagena ekena amritatvam anasu, is also from this Upanishad. This sentence, for example, means it is not by actions, not by having mass fellowship, not by wealth, but only by tyaga or sacrifice is eternal nectar of amritattvam imbibed. It is again this Upanishad that comes out with the idea that as all the water falling from the skies, flowing in different channels, become rivers with so many names, run in their varied directions, finally anyhow reach the ocean, all the reverence by any and everybody anywhere reaches the same God, and every devotee finally loses his separate identity and becomes one with the ultimate. Next is the Mandukyopanishad. Mandukam is a frog. How is the name of the Upanishad evolved out of a frog? Possibly because a frog does not go step by step but jumps covering many steps along the way. Similarly, this Upanishad talks of leaping across the three stages of Jagrat, wakefulness, Swapna, dream, and Sushpati, deep sleep, directly to the fourth stage of Turiya by Pranava Akshara Upasana. The Rishi for the Upanishad is Varuna Bhagwan in the form of a frog. In size, this is the smallest, having only 12 mantras, but in name and fame, it is very high. It talks of the Pranava and decisively establishes the oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. It describes the transcendent experience of Turiya as Santam Shivam Advaitam, Shantam Shivam Advaitam, which is a famous quotation. Adi Shankara's Guru's Guru, Sri Gaudapada Acharya, has written Mandukya Upanishad Karikai, to which Adi Shankara has written Bhashyam. Om Shri Mahaperiva Sharanam.